Hello, Packers fans. Welcome into PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill here live from Lambeau Field, where day 2 of the NFL draft has come to a conclusion. The Packers came into the day with 3 picks. They finished with 3 new stars, but added 2 more picks for their day 3 selections after 2 back to back trades in the second round. But at the end of the day, a run on pass catchers for the Packers after staying with tradition and going defense in the first round. Brian Gutekunst comes away with 2 tight ends and a wide receiver. He went Luke Musgraves. Sorry, I had to make sure I remember the name. Luke Musgraves at pick 50 after trading back twice in the second round. Jaden Reed, wide receiver out of Michigan State, next, and then wrapped up round 3 with Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State. Perfect name for a now cheesehead. If you got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll get to them here in the next couple of seconds. We got to talk to all 3 new guys. Obviously, very, very excited. It was Jaden Reed's birthday. He said this was the best birthday gift he could have gotten, and have to imagine Jordan Love feels the same after getting surrounded by a whole bunch of new talent. The tight end room specifically was going to have to be addressed in this draft, and given the depth of the tight end class in the 2023 draft, Packers felt like they could pretty much get who they wanted wherever they needed to pick. Dalton Kincaid, of course, went to the Buffalo Bills at the end of round 1. There began to be a run on tight ends at the beginning of round 2 with Michael Mayer and then Spoelstra as well. But Packers said that they trusted their board. Brian Gutekunst said that the board was strong. It didn't really move. They felt comfortable with where they were at, even moving back when needed, and then were able to pick up Luke Musgraves there at pick 50 in round 2. Musgraves, of course, the nephew of longtime NFL coach Bill Musgraves, also former quarterback in the NFL. And that was something that Brian Gutekunst and scouts referenced was Musgraves' intense football background, his almost institutional football knowledge, and his experience around the game for his entire life. Both his uncle and his dad were quarterbacks at Oregon. Luke belayed family tradition a little bit and went to Oregon State. See a couple of comments coming in here. Christopher says, "Great day of picks for the Pack, I thought. Loved Leroy making the picks." Leroy Butler, of course, getting to announce the Packers' second round pick and their third round pick as well, doing so in his new gold Hall of Fame jacket. Did a great job, of course, as Leroy, our friend of the Journal Sentinel here, is known to do. He, I'm trying to make sure I'm where I'm at. Uh, this was sort of almost the best case scenario for the Packers and who they picked up and where they went, being able to get 2 tight ends who were high on a lot of people's draft boards when it came to the position, and then being able to add a wide receiver as well, and a wide receiver in Jaden Reed that can sort of play all over the place. He's a slot receiver by name, but he can play outside. He has done so. He played slot most of high school. He came into Michigan State as a slot receiver. And while there, the Spartans wanted him to play outside as well, just to sort of get some more versatility. And that is what has helped him throughout this NFL draft. It's what made him so appealing to the Packers as well. Given the emergence of Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, his presence is not needed outside. It is needed, however, in the slot, seeing as how the Packers have seemingly moved on from Randall Cobb. That was a position they had to address in this year's draft. Reed comes into the NFL as almost a carbon copy on paper of Randall Cobb. So shouldn't be surprised to see him sort of making an impact right away in that position. He also comes in as a pretty good punt returner. He returned 2 for touchdowns his 2021 season. Keyshawn Nixon has pretty much established himself as the kick returner that the Packers want and that they can move forward with. They re-signed him to another contract this offseason. But Keyshawn Nixon was never meant to be the punt returner. He essentially just filled in at that spot because he had to. He's more comfortable at kick returns. That's really where he can make his impact known. So don't be surprised if Keyshawn Nixon and Jaden Reed are splitting those return duties this season. Nixon on kickoff and Reed on punt return. Packers now head into day 3 with 2 additional picks, as we said, due to trades with both the Detroit Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were going to head into day 3 with 7 picks. They now have 9. Brian Gutekunst was asked if some of those picks will be used to possibly trade up. The Packers right now have 4 picks in the 7th round, and I want to say 2 in the 5th and 2 in the 6th. And he said, he kind of laughed and joked and said, "Well, how I love picks. I love to have as many as possible." But don't be surprised with all that being said if the Packers do possibly try to move up some. They are still going to be looking for a safety, for an offensive tackle. There was not a huge run on safeties today. Of course, there were several picked up. Brian Branch off the board, Sidney Brown as well. But there are still a deep class of safeties there that the Packers could pick up. As we said, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. We'll get to a few of them here as we move on. Heading into day 3, which starts at 11 a.m., as we said, still looking for a safety, still looking for an offensive tackle. But the Packers were able to address their biggest needs by picking up all 3 of those pass catchers today. While talking to the guys, Tucker Kraft particularly said that he's from a small town, he's from a rural area, 509 people that live in his town. So getting to come to a place like Green Bay is one of the better case scenarios. And then Luke Musgraves as well said that he's spent a lot of time, both he and Jaden Reed, being from the Chicago area, have spent a lot of time watching the Packers over the years. Jaden Reed joked, of course he's a Chicago Bears, or of course he grew up as a Chicago Bears fan. He was from Chicago. That's all he knew. But both said they are looking forward to their first Lambeau Leap and beating the Bears now that they are a part of the Packers. Interestingly enough, all 3 guys were very, very personable, I think is the best word to use. Open. I think Packers fans are going to really enjoy getting to know all 3 of these guys, along with Luke Van Ness from yesterday. The Packers always like to make their money with receivers in the 2nd round, so we'll see if these continue to pan out. That's where Brian Gutekunst sort of made his bread and butter. The 3rd round is where things have always gotten tricky, and taking another tight end in the 3rd round, that's never necessarily worked out for the Packers, hoping to turn their fate around now with Tucker Kraft. Don't see any more questions coming in, so we're going to get ready to sign off here. There's no new Green 19 podcast for tonight, given the short turnaround before the day 3 draft starts at 11 a.m. tomorrow. But there will be a full Green 19 podcast recap to look for after the draft, so make sure you're looking out for that. Spoon will be running his live blog again tomorrow, so follow along with that. And then we will have full capsules on each player as they come in quick and fast tomorrow, presumably. Stay tuned to PackersNews.com for full coverage as we wrap up the 2023 NFL Draft. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.